So, I'm not totally happy with the amount of verification or not verification, but it seems like we're live. Tell me that I'm right. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if we're actually doing this. All these systems, you know. But it sure looks like we are live. So, one single thumbs up and we're gonna low noisy. Noisy but live. Yeah, okay, cool. Cool. Alright, gangsters, live again with another beat review. You told me in the before the intro or whatever, it's noisy? I can see how it's noisy, but please, how noisy are we talking about? Like unbearably noisy? Because again, I did some changes to my setup, and I might have messed something up. Might have. But it shouldn't be that bad. Come on, give me a little bit of feedback. How bad is the feedback? Is it like really bad? Low level white noise, but no worries, okay? Where do we send beats? Send your beats to beatreview@accuratebeats.com. It's not bad at all, okay. It's supposed to be way better than not bad at all, because I went out of my way to change from this huge microphone in my face to actually using my lav mic for this. Took me a bit of research, but now this should work. You know, it should work. It's not bad. Low level white noise. Okay, so let's just see if that one works. Okay, yeah. So that works, which means that could be one of the causes for the white noise. Could be a little bit better. You know, I'm a little bit picky about these things. So if it's bad, please be honest. I could easily switch over to the other mic. Kinda easily, I think. Because, you know. It's not even bad enough to troubleshoot. Okay. No, okay, my bad. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. It's the actual gain of it. I did test this in beforehand, but it just didn't make that big of a difference, but now it does. That's weird. Let's go into here real quick. Console. Let's take that one out and let's not use. Is that better? Are we getting less noise now? I think the signal should be equally loud, but we should have a little bit less noise. Am I right? Am I wrong? Help me out. Help me out. Yeah, that's what I've learned doing this. Like recording the streaming situation in OBS is one thing. Letting it go over YouTube to you guys is a different thing. So some things happens somehow. I'm not exactly sure what or how, but yeah. But it's better now. Okay, cool. That's kind of what I want to know. The mic is a little bit hot, but the noise is there. The mic is a bit hot? What? In that case, we can just turn it down, you know? Signal to noise is improved, okay? Because the way it looks on my things now, this is honestly a little bit low. I want my mic to be a little bit louder than this, but yeah, help me out in the future. If it doesn't work or whatever, tell me. So, okay, that's perfect. Okay, cool. Whew. So, 8:15 and we're good to go. So, hello and welcome to another episode of Beat Review, my bi-weekly kind of live streaming concept where I basically listen to music from you guys, give a little bit of feedback, give some constructive criticism, or maybe just telling people that their beat sucks or that the beat is awesome. If you want to be a part of this, send in your beat to the show right now and you will have a chance to be played. We do have a lot of beats. I haven't like run the numbers, so I'm not exactly sure how many we have, but we do have a few ones, so everyone's not going to be played. I wrote this on the like thing I did on Instagram and also on my website. That the system now is the window for submitting beats is open for 24 hours before the stream goes live. So you have 24 hours to submit, you submit a beat, and then it just ends up in my inbox and I'm gonna pick randomly, basically. So if you don't get played, I'm not gonna keep anything to next week, second to next week, 2 weeks from now. Not gonna bother. You're gonna have to resubmit, because I want things to be as live and as live as possible, basically. That's what I want. So we already have a few beats, and we're gonna listen to them and talk about them. Me, of course, together with the chat room. We already have some people in the chat watching, wanting to hear their beat being played, and also wanting to give and receive feedback. Because that's basically what this concept is. Beat review of me and you reviewing beats together. That's what it is. Simple as that. Which means that it's becoming, it's starting to get, it's time for me to dive into the email and take a look at what we got. And we have two different inboxes open. That one and that one. Cool. And I also know that I forgot to put this one as a scheduled stream on YouTube, which affects the number of people being here. But hopefully people are going to check in as we go, and we're going to have more participants in here. Ethan didn't know about the 24-hour thing. I'm still operating under the old way. Yeah, I know. But, reaching you guys with that type of information is not easy. I did this thing on the community tab on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. But of course, everyone's not going to see that. I also put the information on my website, but no one's going to, I know. I'm sorry. It's communication is hard because of the algorithms and Donald Trump. I don't know if he's to blame for this, but still. But that's what it is right now. 24 hours before the stream goes live, I'm going to announce it on social media and whatever. It's going to be like the robot and this little text saying submission is open now. And right now I'm going to go back 24 hours in the inbox and check every email that I received that has to do with beat reviews. And I'm going to pick by random. I need a mailing list. I do. I need a mailing list. I need a blog. I need a vlog. I need Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, X. I need everything. Sure. I do YouTube and Instagram. You only have so many hours in a day, But maybe actually a mailing list would be good because it feels like the most kind of straightforward way of communicating with people. Just sending an email. Read it if you want, don't read it if you don't. And I should be able to set that up in the control panel thing on Squarespace as well. So maybe. So we can even do that. We can cut a little bit of frequencies. That could be better, could be worse, I don't know. So we are straight up just moving into the inbox. These are emails I received from, we have a span from there to there. Okay, cool. Which means that the first beat for today is going to be this one. The name, it's always confusing with the names. Is it your actual the email address or anything else? Well, hey Ak. Here's another beat for the review. I made this one in March when I lived in Kiel. My landlord was an old lady and she always started to scream like a crazy person and calling me names when I made beats. But always was the kindest when we met in person. Okay, just a little story on the side. The beat is made out of different samples, pitched, chopped, replayed and layered. You can skip 20 seconds, the intro is just white noise. Okay, you can skip 20 seconds. The intro is just white noise. That's good to know. Thanks for playing my shit. Peace. And there's no real name. And this is someone who uses a Proton email, so it feels like, shouldn't be too obvious about the name. People want to be anonymous or whatever. I don't know. But the name of the producer of this one isn't 100% clear to me. I have like a first name, but I'm not sure I want to mention that because of the Proton thing. So again, let's jump 20 seconds in because we don't need to hear a lot of white noise. It just doesn't feel like it's totally necessary. And we have some shenanigans going on with the tech. So this is different, but this should, no. Okay, we need to, yeah. We need to do this. Need to go into VLC, restart capture, and then we should be fine. Let's play this track from this producer. Okay, 20 seconds, that's shit. Hold on. It forgot about it. So there we are. Yeah, I like that one. Thanks a lot for sending that one in. It's a nice start for this show, definitely. Nice and chill, but you know, to me that type of drum groove is so cool and so crazy, because when you do, in my book, it feels like a drum groove, but you kind of left every other snare out of there, which gives that kind of slow and relaxed vibe, because the actual BPM could be calculated like half of it, but you still have the funkiness of the hi-hat and everything. Just so you know, you have a little bit of contrast there between like the high and the low energy, which is really cool. And as someone pointed out in the chat room, of course, the amount of air candy, like nice textures and a lot of like graininess and, you know, air candy basically, helps a lot to make this one stand out and become something really cool. My opinion here is that the hi-hats, all of them are a little bit too loud, because I like my hi-hats to be kind of quiet and just in the background. To me, that's a little bit too much in my face, a little bit too forefront, but we're splitting hairs. This is a good track for sure. This is really cool. A lot of vibes, a lot of textures, a lot of feeling and emotion. I mean, like the majority of the beat is basically this piano thing and the drums. And then on top of that, you have this beautiful kind of saxophone thing just playing around. Feels like it's almost freestyling on top of it. I guess it's all made out of samples. It sounds like it to me. But doing that with samples and allowing things not just to become like repetitive loops is a challenge, and it's a talent to be able to do that. So really cool stuff. Because, you know, you could have snare, snare, snare. But it's left out. So it feels like the beat is about to start, but it doesn't. It's like that the entire time, which is definitely a vibe. Swang is a great word. Okay. I also, if I'm gonna be critical here, I also think you could have done more with the bass line. Because when it comes in, it really fills up the space and it makes it nice and cozy and like grabs you and gives you this warm hug that you've been waiting for. I just want like a little bit more, a little bit louder, a little bit more notes maybe. Maybe not. Keeping it simple like that is also not a bad idea. But the more I listen to it in a critical way, the more I kind of don't like the hi-hats. The programming and the sound of the hi-hats, fire, totally fine. But the volume is a little bit much. And you hear that? All those textures coming in and out? Yeah, that's some great stuff. We do have the producer in the chat. That's J to the K. Yeah, that was my attention. Got bored with the obvious boom boom clock. Yeah, so a lot of people are fans of this one. Did you say anything about how it was made though? Simple is difficult, yeah, for sure. Making something sound or making something that's simple is more difficult than doing something that's really elaborate, you know. A quick thing. Someone asked about the setup. I redid some stuff again. I moved things around. This is Roland's Jupiter XM. This is the Micro Korg 2 from Korg. You can't hear that. The Micro Korg 2, Jupiter XM, the Mini Freak, multi-poly. You can't almost see what's over there. C2 mixer, the way it should be. J to the K, yeah, just chopping, layering, and replay stuff. Yeah, that's nice. That's how it's supposed to be done, you know? Really good stuff. If I'm, you know, I could go on and say more critical things. To me, it feels like there's something. I'm not a master of mixing or mastering by any means, but it feels like there's something going on with the mix that's a little bit unbalanced. The piano and the saxophone becomes maybe too loud. Not sure. But it's a great track. You should be proud of yourself. This is good. My main thing, check the volume on the hi-hats. Add more bass. Not bass as in the frequency range, bass as in the instrument, you know. But the vibe, that whole thing, I haven't done that in years. Just playing around with that half tempo kind of pattern. But it's cool. So, I mean, just the way you can move your head, like, to the kick and the snare, like super slowly, or you could be all bouncy about it. Half tempo, double tempo at once. That's nice. Mixing still needs some work. Are you saying yourself? Yeah, maybe. But you know what? This you guys will have to be like my technical assistants for 2 minutes. This feels good. This is nice. Not being, you know, bound by this one. But I'm not happy about what I'm seeing on the meters. It looks like it's a little bit too silent when it comes to my mic. And it just doesn't feel as rock solid and as comfortable as I want it to be. So I'm gonna switch over. It's gonna be a little bit of a hassle, but yeah, I kind of feel like I need to is an exaggeration, but it sure feels like I want to. So I'm gonna go. It's going to become silent, and we're going to change to this one. 5 seconds. Or maybe not even that. Maybe more, like 10 seconds. I don't know. This felt like a great idea, but the execution, not 100%. Let's not do stuff that's not 100%. And yeah, kind of quiet. So let's do a little bit of that. Let's jump into the console just to make sure that we have all the stuff. And we didn't. But there we are. So that's more like it. Should definitely be less noisy, and it feels kind of good. So is that better? Maybe it is. So I'm gonna have to do the same thing for the other ones too. So bear with me. Now we don't have any audio. Okay, we do. We do have audio. Ah, it followed along. Cool. I'm learning as I go. Here. Boom. Sounds more clear. Yeah, I mean, using an actual dynamic mic like this one, I mean, this is what they're made for. radio shows and podcasts and whatever. I just wanted to not have to deal with having the mic in my face. But I guess I was wrong. Having the mic in my face might be the better solution, the better option. Right there. So, it doesn't hurt trying new things, but sometimes it's difficult, you know? I'm a nerd, I like technology, and I got the Rode Wireless Pro kit for making videos, and I thought we could use it for this too, but no. Wasn't happy with the feeling of it. Also, like 2 milliseconds of latency too much that I'm actually noticing it. So this feels better, and we do have, let me just double check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that comes through on your side too. Cool. So there we are. That's the first beat for today. So let's just, instead of talking about me and my microphones and whatever, let's dedicate this moment of time to you guys. The way it should be. That one has been played. Sounds less muffled. Yeah, I know. This is better. I just tried something different. And we have another beat, this time from someone called Ethan in the chat room, right? Eytan. I'm gonna keep pronouncing that as Ethan or Ethan, something like that. Let's just double check. Oh, it's a Dropbox file, so I can download it. Because I need to be able to play it in VLC. That's the setup for now. No! Not yet. Hold on. Ethan says, it's long, but kind of tells a story, and quite honestly, it would be best to listen to the whole thing. But this is the real world, so I assume you can't listen to the whole thing. So if anything else, please check out the 2 major drops at 1 minute 40 and 2 minutes 30. So we gotta try to keep things, we gotta be fair about this. This track is almost 4 minutes long, so I guess that doesn't really go. But if we play 2 minutes, we're gonna cover the first major drop at 140. And then we can skip ahead to 2:30. I think that makes sense. Ethan, the track is called Molten Darkness. Let's go. Okay, so I'm already not like keeping to my word. We listened to 3 minutes instead. So we had both the breakdowns. First of all, awesome production. Production with an S. Great production overall. Really good stuff. It feels like something that's been worked on and worked on and worked on. So that email pointing out that, hey, please play the 2 major drops. I can see how you feel like that. I can totally see why you feel that way, and I think it makes sense, and you're entitled to, of course. You put a lot of work into this. It's great. It's a great effort. Great job. Great stuff. Great overall. Just nice. Now, if I would have any type of criticism or feedback for this from my perspective, for my own personal taste, this is a little bit too hyped up and a little bit too modern to fully fly for me. If I wanted to listen to something when I'm like walking to work or whatever, it would not be this. This is a little bit too much for me because, I'm old school, stuck in my ways, and I'm, too invested in this hip hop shenanigans. With that said, I really do recognize the amount of work put in here. Everything from the sound selection to the amount of stuff going on at once without becoming too much of a just big mess. The arrangement, all the different melodies and all the things going on, the different synths playing kind of in the same range of stuff, but still not colliding. Great. But this, and I gotta say this, I gotta point this out. This has nothing really this is not just me not liking this type of genre. It's not that. This type of programming and these notes and everything could fly. For me too. But the different sounds and the way everything just comes together. I guess this is going to be mean, I guess. But I played a little bit of Beat Saber on my, whatever that's called. MetaQuest 3. This feels kind of like one of those beats, one of those tracks. It could very well fit into Beat Saber, I think, which is not necessarily a bad thing, not at all. Super hyped up, like exercising kind of music. A lot of energy, a lot of attitude, and a lot of switch up that makes it really dynamic and cool. So it's intriguing, it's fun, and it's great. But in terms of how it sounds, is it a rule for how long a beat song can be? Yeah, send me whatever, but I'm gonna play 2 minutes of it. That's basically the end goal, at least. Great game, yeah. Beat Saber is a great game for sure. But just imagine Beat Saber. Could work. But what's standing out here to me is the way that this producer, who was this? Ethan. The way Ethan used the low end of the entire mix is awesome. There's so much stuff going on, but it's balanced and mixed in a way that doesn't crash, basically. That's very Beat Saber to me. Whatever. The kick drum, super punchy, not a lot of low end, but still a punchy kick drum. Then we have the 808 kind of thing with a little bit of distortion and a secondary bass on top of that. Boom. The low end here is phenomenal. Great work. Definitely. The snare drum is a little bit weak, but in a mix like this, everything can't be strong. Something has to be weak somewhere and to give a little space to everything else. But, when you stack this amount of like sawtooth synths on top of each other, it becomes this wall of sound that's sometimes really hard to tame. You did a great job. What are you saying about this yourself, Ethan? Are you saying anything in the chat room? Yeah, I appreciate that. Probably replying to someone else because I'm full of it. But yeah, the change-ups, the different transitions and everything work great. Looks like Lundgren. Yeah, okay. The snooze is always Lundgren's Skåne nowadays. Lundgren's. Also kind of affordable. How can I... So. The mix in general is pretty nice. Yes, it is. I appreciate you. Okay, you appreciated what I said. Okay, thank you. I have a hard time following the chat room when I go on a banter like this. I'm noticing. It's not bad, it's just on the corny side. Not bad corny, just upbeat cheesy. That's from the Beatcast. That's from Al. That's a bit harsh, man. But yeah, a little bit cheesy might be a way to actually... Yeah. And I can't... Now that I said Beat Saber, I can't not think about Beat Saber. Am I wrong? I'm not hating on this. I'm not saying that this is bad. This is one of the best overall productions that we've had when it comes to the arrangement and the mixing and the actual amount of work put in there. Definitely. But to me, I can't stop thinking about Beat Saber because it feels like a little bit of that. But sure. A lot of people in the chat room seems to be positive about it. I was also thinking of a game, Shadow of the Beast. Okay, maybe. But yeah, Ethan knows what he's doing, and this is some great stuff for sure. But you have been played, and we have talked about it. We're gonna move on. We are going to move on. That's worse. Almost. That's worse again. Who knows about focus? Not me, definitely. Now, moving into the inbox again, just to see whatever I feel like. Maybe this one. Maybe this one. From Alex. Says, "Hi there, this is my first beat. It's not great, but looking to learn. I'm a huge fan of your work. Many thanks, Alex." Nice! I don't want to have too many opinions about who is submitting beats and whatever, but the quality has been up there lately. Like up there at a crazy kind of level. We've had so many great beats. And that's not the entire purpose of this. This is not just you being awesome and showcasing your stuff. This is someone who made their first beat, which should be highlighted and noted. We need to take that into consideration. "Hi there, this is my first beat. It's not great, but I'm looking to learn." That's the best kind of mindset to have. You want to learn? Awesome. So, everyone in the chat room too, because now we have a few people in there, be considerate when we listen to this track. Sure, he wants to learn and he needs constructive feedback, but don't hate on anything. The only thing that I'm like a little bit harsh about is when it's obviously like already done loops just put together and it's obviously not totally made by someone. In that case, I can be a little bit harsh, but if you put in the work, you try to do something, it's your first time ever, you need to get feedback in a certain kind of way, you know? So, Alex, are you in the chat? It's my first completed beat. Yeah, okay. That's Lex B in the chat. Cool. Made so well says trash, super trash. Hater mode activated. Okay, you guys are misunderstanding the point to the fullest. Damn, guys. Be nice to this one. Alex, his first completed beat ever. Insane in Progress Part 5. It's 1 minute long, so we might actually listen to it twice. Let's go. Yeah, rewind selector. Hey, that's not bad. Not bad by any means. I did crank the volume as good as I could over here, but the volume is a little bit too loud. The volume is a little bit too loud, so I cranked it all the way. The volume is a little bit low. You need to put like some type of brick wall limiter on it just to increase the volume of it. So, that's something no one does in the beginning. You don't kind of know about different volumes and whatever. Because when you work on it, it sounds what it sounds like. But this is great. To me, this is, great job. If you wouldn't have told me that you're new at this, it's not that obvious. It's not that obvious that you're kind of a beginner, And I understand that this is your first completed beat. It doesn't mean that this is your first attempt of making anything in a DAW or a sampler or whatever it is. But this is good stuff. It is really quiet, and it needs to be boosted. Limiter, set like the output to minus 0.5 or minus 1, and just crank it. But what's cool about it is that I can't really notice anything that's flat out wrong about it. That's what you get sometimes with beginners, that it's out of tune, you're using notes out of the scale that you're in or supposed to be in, or you haven't totally understood how it works with loops and drums and whatever. In this case, nothing is wrong. Nothing at all. And for this style of music, using like this big 808 kick drum instead of a bass line is what people do, and I guess that's fine. Not the way I work myself, but it's a thing that people do. you've done it and you did it in a great way. The mixing is not too crazy either. Here we have kind of low hi-hats, which is my preferred way of having hi-hats. And also the string section that comes in feels like you actually did it yourself, you know? I don't think that this is just a compilation of ready-made loops just put together in whatever those beginner DAWs are called. Making me sound like an elitist for sure, but you know what I'm talking about. This feels like you made it the proper way. You're working on music the way you should work on music. I don't even know who I am anymore. But the way it's built up, adding the strings over time, is really effective and really cool. And, you know, it's obvious that you kind of know what you're doing. You know what you're getting into. I gotta be honest, that I like that one a lot, because a lot of people that makes beats in this genre doesn't add that thing. It's just like the most basic stuff to have, like, I don't know, vibes or whatever. But adding that amount of melody with this guitar kind of instrument, it's something else, like a Japanese whatever, makes the entire difference. Takes it from this just, you know, atonal, boring thing to something that's actually kind of musical. Some cool switch up with the drums too. It's not just a simple loop, just looped over and over and over. It actually has a little bit of variation. It's great stuff. I made way worse beats than this at the beginning, for sure. LexB says, thanks all. I've heard a lot worse on the radio. Commercially produced stuff. Your tune was cool and had a call and response in the piano notes. I like the work. Keep it up, says Klangström, which makes a lot of sense. I'm totally with you on that. You know, music and art is always subjective and people can have different opinions, but whenever people are totally newcomers, totally beginners, it's easy to do a lot of mistakes. That's not just, yeah, that's a cool creative choice, but it's also like, yeah, it's just flat out wrong. In this case, I didn't pick up any of that. If I would have made this one and kept working on it, I would do even more of the strings. Because right now, to me, it feels like it's like one instrument of strings, because that's not a sample. It can't be. So I would have added like a cello, a violin, and a viola. I don't know, something like that, to kind of broaden the frequency range where you have the strings playing. Now it's nice and thin and it's kind of in the background, but what would happen if you did that for like 8 bars and then for the next 8 bars did the same thing but layered it up with like a cello and something else to just fill up the space even more? Not that I can appreciate it, but you know, maybe doing a little bit of panning too, a little bit left and right, adding like a string section, making it a little bit huge. Not huge, just making it a little bit larger. To really dive into the vibe you have going on here. But you know, as a listener, maybe the main problem here is not the mixing, not the master. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Just adding a brick wall limiter or a maximizer, maybe a compressor with the right settings, something to just boost the volume. Okay, Beat Owl is talking about LUFS. which is complicated, and there's a lot of tools, and you can do a lot of dithering stuff to kind of trick the system. Understanding LUFS is one thing. Just comparing your output to another track is also a thing. Adding more limiting than you think is good, just slamming the signal into the limiter and just turning down the volume on the monitors to have a track with more punch. But in terms of the production, in terms of the layout of the beat, it's a minute long, and it could very well be 3 minutes if you just keep working on it. Great stuff. Alex, thanks a lot for submitting. Thanks a lot for being a part of the stream. And I gotta say as well, you people in the chat, okay, fuck that. What's up with the focus? Oh, almost pretty much nailed it. Now I gotta be still. Everyone in the chat room, hands down, great work. No one was hating or being mean or whatever. A lot of helpful stuff in the chat. But yeah, I agree with Ethan. Talking about LUFS might be a little bit much. Sure, I totally agree. Just compare your stuff to something else and add a limiter. Adding a limiter is possible in pretty much any sampler or DAW, and it's dead simple. It's normally just, if you have a mastering limiter or just a normal limiter in a DAW, it's not too many controls at all. It's just a compressor is fiddly, and a limiter is a type of compressor, sure, but it's made for different use cases. So understand what a limiter does, apply it, and do a little bit more limiting than you think that you should. The output is going to be fire. So, Alex, thanks a lot. And I mean this, seriously. It's beneficial to everyone in here that we have newcomers too. To have a little bit of variation. Everyone can't be, everything was 100% right, People need to learn, people need to evolve, develop words on top of words on top of words. Jesus. Instead of words, let's listen to beats. This one came in from Christian. No, Lax22. I think we had you in the last stream too, but now I picked you again. I don't know. Hey, thanks for playing my beat last stream. Yes, we did. I love the concept and the friendly and honest feedback you give. Sending you a new one for the next session. All SP404 Mark II once again, also a nameless track. I'm Norwegian, by the way, and a member of Norsk SP Forum, the Norwegian SP Forum, which is an SP-based beat collective from southeastern parts of Norway. I think I've heard about you guys since before. Norsk SP Forum. Cool. So this is from LAX22, and I can't remember for the life of me what you sent in last week, or second to last week, last show. But let's play your shit right now. Sometimes it autoplays and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, cool stuff. If I'm not misremembering this totally, last show, we had someone making a beat on the SP404 that did not sound like it was made on an SP404. Was that you? Because this one also did not sound like it was made on an SP404 at all. You know, adding all the corny effects and that kind of tape compression stuff that everyone just overuses. But yeah, this was a cool track. And it's impressive that you did this on the SP404 because it doesn't sound like it. Now, someone asked something about the bass guitar. Did you add that yourself? Did you play the bass? I can't see if I have... Come on, bass guitar. I wish the bass had more fuzz, but I like it a lot. Yeah, me too. Who was this? I'm getting confused. This came in from... No, I can't even open the inbox. Lax22. Who are you in the live chat? I don't know. But, you know, listening to this track for the first time ever, and it's, how long was this one? 1 minute 58. Someone knows. The bass line is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. It's kind of like the main attraction. And it deserves to because the bass line is cool. But there's something that becomes a little bit repetitive about the ba-dum dum 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 dum, because it's like this traditional walking bass line kind of thing. So having more switch up on the bass would probably make me a little bit more happy about it. Because when you've heard it for rounds and rounds and rounds, it becomes a little bit tiring. It feels like, yep, I know what you're gonna do. There's no surprises here. It's gonna be ba-dum dum 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 dum. That's what it's gonna be. It sure adds to the vibe of it. I'm not hating on it whatsoever. But a section with that thing just doing something different or not playing could be a thing. But I do love the drums. The snare sound here slaps. I'm not comfortable saying the word slaps, but yeah, the snare drum is great. The entire vibe of it is cool. Laid back and chill. There's a nice balance between everything. The bass line is, of course, the main thing. So maybe, I don't know, what would happen if you changed it up? Just lowered the volume of the bass line a little bit and simplified it in a section? Not doing the same walking kind of pattern? And, you know, the sloppiness of the drums together with the bass line really works. Somehow it doesn't. And that's what makes it interesting. Because the swing and like the groove of the drums and the bass line is slightly misaligned. And I'm sure that's a creative choice you've done. And it's awesome. We need someone to sample all of Accurate's instrument limitation. Huh? We need someone to sample all of Accurate's instrument imitation sounds and make a beat out of them. Please don't. Please don't. But how can I describe what the bass line is doing without saying ba-dum, boom, boom, boom? You know, that's just a part of it. And the way that piano chord goes with the bass line, it's like perfectly tuned, and it's just one single wall of sound, and then we have the bling, the higher notes. I'm gonna start doing the brum brum bling sounds. Damn. Great stuff. Difficult to say much about this one. made on the SP404 is still kind of crazy to me. I mean, you could do a lot of things with that bass line. You can add fuzz, as someone said, a little bit of overdrive, some distortion, maybe add something like, I don't know, a phaser is kind of cool on a bass line sometimes to make it feel like, you know, kind of new school, still old school. I don't know. A great track. Chris says, train travel tune. Yeah, train travel. I get the vibe. And the higher piano chords makes the entire thing just shine. Without that, it would just be this kind of interesting bass line and drums, but the piano, the way it's laid out and played, mwah. Great stuff. Lax22, thanks a lot for being a part of this and submitting beats. It means a lot, and it's really cool to have stuff on this type of level. Again, made on the SP404. And, you know, I don't want to exaggerate that too much, but the SP404 is a great device, but a lot of people are using it in kind of the same way. It feels like you're doing something different, which is great. So let's move along to who? Okay, now I'm trying to pick by random, but in this case, we have a submission from Krister Hoff, or Hoffa-Beats. We had him on the last show, and you know, the beat he submitted, people had opinions about it. So okay, I don't know what to do with this. Let me read this. First of all, it's in Swedish, so let me read it first to understand what he's saying. Okay, first of all, he sent me 2 emails, one with a track and then another one in Swedish talking about what happened in the last show when he was being accused of being kind of a biter. His track sounded really similar to a track by Griselda, according to Al in the live chat. It's a remix of the track No Instructions that I made. Well, I don't know how to yeah. Okay. In the chat, he's saying, just play the beat. Okay. I'll just play the beat. The whole thing 2 weeks ago, I don't know. We don't have to make that into this whole thing. Let's just play the track you submitted right now. Hoffa-Beats with the track Mi Amo Beat, 83 BPM. Okay, cool. Let's go. Whoa, kind of forgot myself over there. We played, okay, 220. That's a nice track, for sure. Half a beat. Someone said, Dubcase said Isaac Hayes vibes. Nice. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but it makes a lot of sense when you said it. Has a little bit of Isaac Hayes vibes on there, for sure. What's interesting and cool about this one to me is like the contrast between one thing and the next. One of my house gods since forever is DJ Premier. Not that this is a DJ Premier type of beat, but he did a thing that's a little bit similar to what he normally does. Like, of course, everyone points out about the sidechain compression. Yeah, that's a lot of it in here. It's a nice touch and it really goes well with this track, hands down. But what stands out to me is like we have all the high frequency stuff, like the super sidechained kind of string sample thing going kind of rhythmical, and then just a few single bass hits that just hits in exactly the right way. Boom, 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 boom. That could become what happened. And it just continues. Okay, cool. It feels it's not too fast or anything. It's not like an overbearing amount of energy or anything. But we still have the funkiness of the and then nothing happens with the bass. That's a nice touch. If I made this, I would have gone played with a few notes and going back to going all crazy with it. You didn't, and I think that's the right thing to do here. So the contrast and the balance to me with that kind of bass notes and then the strings, the chords, the vocal sample together with the driving, kind of pushing drum groove. This is great stuff. To me, this sounds great. I guess it could be made with a rapper in mind because it's a little bit repetitive and it just goes on. But I could have listened to this one for 2 hours because it just, it's just high quality stuff. It's good. It feels like one of those tracks that could be played in, some kind of video game where you spend a lot of time in a menu, like character creation kind of stuff. And the beat just goes on. It's just a vibe. It's just providing emotion in a cool way. Not too much happening, not too little either. It's just, you have everything in there. And of course, the drum programming, we gotta notice when people do stuff like this, because it makes it feel more lively and more real when you do boom, has this again the kind of funk, the kind of feeling that you get from like old school funk music, but it's slowed down and it's just groovy. Groovy is the right thing. Yeah. Accurate, did you turn down the volume on the playback? No. Don't think I did. What happened to the volume? Help me out. What's happening to the volume? Looks completely right on my end. We can't even restart the capture. So the volume. What are we talking about? The volume of the mic, the volume of the track, the volume of what? Can't you hear me anymore? Is that it? 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic is fine. Audio capture. Oh, 0. Okay, cool. Hold on. Now, the volume should be the track. The track started louder and it sounded like it was ducked early in playback. The track is a little bit low on volume. What are you talking about? For real? Okay, now I see it. Let's go back to... Okay, so VLC right there. Okay, let's see what I can... So, let me just go in here because I think I did boost the playback on VLC like that before, and let's try again. Okay, that's louder. And it follows that one too, yeah. So I think I had the setting in VLC to be boosted 10 decibels. I think that was the case before, and now when I double checked on it, it was lowered to minus 0.5. Don't know why. Do not know why. I did not do that, but Okay. I can't explain that. Audio mixer over there, no. Okay. So we do need that one. I'm sorry if the audio, it seems like it lowered about 3 decibels. It's not the end of the world, but yeah. Well, let's move along. Hoffa, I don't have a lot to say. I just like this one a lot. And the whole thing about your last submission being stolen from something else. Let's not care about that. We don't even know. I haven't double checked on that. It's not like I take a lot of time to go through that type of stuff in afterwards. Now, let's see. This is from August 10, which was yesterday. So still, okay, cool. Here we are. We can easily play, okay, that one, let's go with this one. Oh, From Russia with Love, nothing else. Okay, From Russia with Love from someone called Roman, it looks like. Let's go.
This is a rumble. is a rumble.
So, if you know me, if you know me by now, you kind of know what I'm gonna say about this, I think. A couple of things. This is right up my alley. Made me think about like J. Rue the Damager from back in the day. Really, really cool stuff. Nice and dirty and gritty and just aggressive. Someone said that it feels like a cypher kind of beat, and it does. Having this one played on like a big stage with people just coming in and doing like this big cypher thing, you know, kicking like 8 bars and just passing it on. Great stuff. My criticism, I have two different points of criticism here. First of all, the hi-hat is, to me, too loud. Sure, the hi-hat makes the entire thing just move along and, you know, like that. Sure, but it's too loud in the mix, to me. Someone shouts out DJ Shadow, someone else Jedi Mind Tricks. I said J. Rue the Damager. You know, old school, pure, real, like true school kind of hip hop. But in terms of arrangement here, I think this could be improved. When you listen to the track, it's just full of stuff, and it's impressive to have that amount of samples going on at once, and it becomes this nice, full, super evolved and like complicated, but still kind of loosey-goosey kind of thing. But you could have built up to that point in a different way. What I'm picking out as the bass line and the piano thing going like boom, 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 that super Mobb Deep-y kind of vibe, that could be used like an intro without having all the stuff going on, and adding things over time would be really powerful, because you would have something that's, you know, driving and cool and just awesome with the drums and the bass and the piano, and then all of a sudden you have all the bling 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 boom ding dong dong coming in. I'm not getting a lot of surprises, is what I'm trying to say in this one. It's one of my favorite beats tonight for sure, just the style and the vibe of it, but it opens up like this.
This is a rumble.
So the stuff that we heard in the pure kind of intro of it, a little bit more of that with the drums and everything, but maybe not, you know, adding the Japanese kind of string plucked instruments. That would be a way to build it up. And maybe having it like a different section in the track where things just breaks down. Talking about arrangement. So in the arrangement here, I think there's more things that could be done. But the production here, cool. Take down the hi-hats a little bit, just in my book, just for me. And then almost makes me want to like spit some bars on it. And you know, that doesn't happen a lot. I haven't been rapping on a mic for like 20 years, 15 years, something like that. 2000, 15, maybe more like 20 years. Is that crazy? Well, again, the intro of the same track. But yeah, imagine the hi-hats being a little bit lower, or maybe a lot lower. A nice amount of swing, nothing too crazy, no one going like, totally Dilla, like misaligning the snare or whatever. It's just on the grid with a lot of swing. Maybe played manually, I don't even know. Great stuff. I want to hear it. Do it. I'm not going to rap. No. Never going to happen. But it makes me want to, because the beat is inviting in that kind of way. Great stuff. We don't have a lot of bad stuff to say about that one, for sure. Roman from Russia. Great stuff. Again, thanks a lot for sending it in. We are again back on this really high level of stuff that's, could be released today, used for a rapper or as an instrumental or whatever. So I realized that I need to refresh the inbox. Yes, we have a lot of beats. Everyone's not going to be played. That's for sure. For sure. But we have another submission over here. That one was actually not a file. That one is. Okay, cool. Here we have a submission from Lom. Lomm. Lom. Also in Swedish, which always puts me on this weird. Is your rap somewhere on YouTube? Yeah, but I used to rap in Swedish. We're talking. Let's see here. Okay, let's spend a minute on this. Me and the group. Me and a friend had a group. I was the producer and did half of the rapping. We put out our full-length album in 2005 and then an EP 2006. 2005. So yeah, that's actually 20 years ago. So if you find me rapping somewhere online, it's gonna be 20 years ago. Jesus. Super angry, most of the time politic rap, talking about socialism, and we did a track about freeing Palestine 20 years ago, which says something. But yeah, let's not dwell on that. Now we have another submission from Lom. Hi, here is my submission for tonight's beat review. Sometimes I make beats without sampling other tracks, and I wanted to check out what you and your community thinks about that. Is what it says, but in Swedish. So good job of me to translate that live. Sometimes I'm awesome. Sometimes I'm not. Nah, I'm always awesome. Kidding. So, not a beat made without using samples from anyone else. Let's have a listen. Oh, so LOMM from Sweden made this one without using samples from anyone else's music, which is, that's a good thing. Sometimes you can sample yourself or just make stuff without samples, and that's a thing in itself, which I don't have any opinions against. It's nothing like that. This track, though, gotta be honest, we're here to give constructive feedback, constructive criticism, and giving feedback to people. Long Beats is also in the chat. So I'm not going to be too harsh about this. I don't want to be a hater, but we got to talk about the subjectivity of music. I like the drums of this one. It feels like this is someone who knows what he's doing, and I'm pretty sure you've been played here before. Pretty sure. But I'm not. I don't understand this one. To me, it feels like there's, to my personal taste, there's not enough. I gotta be honest. There's not enough. 1 2 1 2. My mic is sounding strange in my headphones a little bit. Well, that's actually a lot better. So the musicality of this is close to zero in my book. It's not like every beat, every track needs to have this super crazy, engaging, complicated chord progression. Fine, you can do stuff without using chord progressions. But there's always, we talk about rhythm, we talk about melody and harmony. That's basically what music is, if you think about it that way. In this case, we don't have a lot of variation, we don't have a lot of stuff going on, and we don't have a lot of different note values. There's no like obvious contrast between da dum dum, da dum 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 dum. It's the melody goes like dum, da dum 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 dum. Not even that. Dum, 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 dum. But it's not exactly that. So something about the pitch here makes me think that it's a little bit flat, a little bit boring. It's a little bit tiring to listen to. We need more variation, or we need more contrast between one note and the next. There's nothing wrong with working in just changing a note, a semitone, but somewhere you want things to pop out. This feels a little bit flat to me. Having a hard time finding the words to describe this, but there's something wrong. And you said something about this was on top of it with the vocals, the whole crowd or choir or whatever. Doesn't either feel like it's in the right pitch somehow. It doesn't really work musically. But also let's change perspective. Let's say that this is all made you had a purpose to do this, Let's just say that you are super aware of what you did. In that case, sure, it's a creative choice and you kind of know what you're doing, and it's fine. It just doesn't appeal to me from a musical standpoint. But nothing is wrong with the production itself. The drums work and the bass notes in there, there's just something about the pitch values of things that makes me like doubt everything. When I listen to it, I have kind of a hard time understanding the melody. Now when I listen back to it and I try to hum with the melody, it doesn't work. Because in my mind it's like dum ba-dum dum 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 ba-dum dum 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 dum, and it's not. It's something else. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of everything being really low in pitch, so the differences doesn't come through as cleanly. I don't know. Chris52, I think I found some of the old rap stuff. I think it would be hard for most to spot or hear that it was you, but fun that it's out there. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I did live streams like a couple of years ago where I actually played my old tracks. So I'm not that ashamed of it. It is what it is, and it's 20 years ago. Lombeat says, thanks, Accurate. I actually agree with everything. That's why I sent it in, because I don't get the feeling myself where the beat is. Okay, cool. So you're not getting mad. That's good to know. So all I'm saying is that the notes in the track doesn't make sense to me in a musical way. You can always go a different kind of route and not be super locked into a certain type of scale. You can go a little bit left and right and be spicy about things, but that's not what's happening here. It's something else. So if I were you, I would try to keep working on it and find pitch values that has a little bit more contrast and just works in like a key. I love the snare sound. And the syncopated things. I mean, it's good like that, but there's something about the notes that I'm not understanding. Or there's something about the notes I don't understand. We could speak English the way it's supposed to be. Now we have another beat over. Let's see. Let's take this one. No, we already listened to that one. My bad. Exciting collaboration opportunity. I hope this message finds you well. We helped thousands of record labels. Oh, that's awesome. Currently developing an influencer program with an initiative where we're reaching out to content creators in the music industry to collaborate. What do you do? Here's a presentation. What do you do? Global music and video distribution to hundreds of stores and streaming platforms. Okay, so it's a music distributor. Say that in the actual email. So that has nothing to do with the beat review. My bad. I'm sorry. Over here we have something new. A new beat submitted to the show. Let's check in. This one comes from a name. That's gonna be kind of a challenge. Larsenius Laquarius III. Something like that. I used the snare from your first sample pack, Mr. Accurate. Thank you for coming back to YouTube. Okay. And it's called Comethazine Glenn and Garwood Remix. I'm not understanding half of the words here. But who cares? Let's play the track. Someone who used a snare from my old sample pack. Cool. Why not? It's not that bad. Oh, let's fucking go.
I'm a star like Patrick. Make your baby do a backflip. Then bounce back like elastic. They told me to piss in the cup.
All know that I'm the boss. Ball hard like Reddy Moss. Bet y'all all know that I'm that nigga. Showed y'all how to floss with sauce. Stupid nigga ain't listening. Washington Park in the trap house. We'll make thousands of bucks in the kitchen. Like that, they all know that I'm the boss. Yeah, ball hard like Reddy Moss. Bet y'all all know that I'm that nigga. Showed y'all how to floss with sauce. Stupid nigga ain't listening. Washington Park in the trap house. We'll make thousands of bucks in the kitchen. Whipping like an acrobatic, we was flipping like that. I kill it deep in his eyes until he's a bitch. So who you kidding, bitch? 200,000 on the ride, just left the car lot, instantly dipping. Yeah, 250 online, bottles for the one time, instantly sipping. Vintage of 50 Egyptian, older than fungi, bitch, I be tripping like that. Please give it up for the bitch who just took the dick, now she walking out limping. This a real chopstick, 55.6 with a dual extension. This a real chopstick, 55.6 with a dual extension. They all know that I'm the boss. Ball hard like Reddy Moss. Bet y'all all know that I'm that nigga. Showed y'all how to floss with sauce. Stupid nigga ain't listening. Washington Park in the trap house. We'll make thousands of bucks in the kitchen. Like that, they all know that I'm the boss. Ball hard like Reddy Moss. Bet y'all all know that I'm that nigga. Showed y'all how to floss with sauce. Stupid nigga ain't listening. Washington Park in the trap house. We'll make thousands of bucks in the kitchen.
I'm a star like Patrick. Make your baby do a backflip. Then bounce back like elastic. They told me to piss in the cup.
All right, so this is a little bit different because I am not a fan of this style of rapping at all. Not at all. I'm just not a fan of this type of rap. So the rap kind of destroys everything for me. The beat here is made for this remix, I guess, and it kind of fits the vibe. It's in the same, the genre works. If I would have taken that kind of remix and made something like what I do, that would not work. So it's a nice mix. It's a nice fit for the vocal, sure. But to me, in this kind of, when it comes to lo-fi beats, a lot of people are hiding behind, bad audio quality to make it sound vibey and cool. And the beat kind of sucks. And then you just do a lot of lo-fi stuff that makes it sound like lo-fi, and then you kind of get away with it. In this genre, there's similar things going on that I'm equally kind of disturbed with. That's not how you say it. That I'm equally that I'm equally pessimistic about. At the end here, we had a lot of the beat without vocals. And I understand that that type of distortion and that kind of is supposed to be aggressive and cool and kind of violent and whatever. To me, it doesn't translate like that at all. In this case, it feels like the distortion kind of effects makes me think about, Bowser instead of anything actually like from the soul. Talking about Bowser from Super Mario, of course. Really grainy distortion on everything, and the 808 just hits it in a way that I guess is supposed to be cool, but to me it just becomes corny immediately. The loop itself works with the rap, and everything just comes together to be this type of genre, and it works. But since I'm not a fan of the rapping and the beat is kind of in the same genre, I am a little bit subjective about this. I'm not a huge fan of it. The production is not bad. You have this cool hi-hat pattern that you do in this type of genre. And the stuff going on with the distortion on the 808 is also probably a creative choice instead of a problem or an issue. So it's just me not completely understanding this genre.
Boss, yeah, ball hard like Reddy Moss. Bedtime, all know that I'm that nigga. Showed y'all how to floss with sauce. Stupid nigga ain't listening. Washington Park in the trap house, we will make thousands of bucks.
But when it comes to the musicality and like the production, it's pretty much boom, 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 which is kind of cool. Has this atmosphere of like aggression and whatever, and it's cool. But it's repetitive and it feels like you kind of just, you know, you did the thing you're supposed to do. You added distortion, made it gritty. And this distortion effect here is also really grainy. That makes me think about 8-bit video games because it's not clean. It's grainy in a way that doesn't appeal to me. But the thing that's going on the 8 notes dun, 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 helps with the musicality and like the harmonics of things. For sure, it does. And it's properly balanced when it comes to like the drums and the other instruments. It's not a bad production, just not my personal taste or style of music at all. You know? Eslo, what's up everybody? First time I had a few minutes to jump in on the live. Cool. Eslo has been featured a lot in here. And now he's actually in the chat room. Good to see you. Great. It's always cool to have actual participants and people who submit to the stream coming in on in the chat room. We love that. We love that. So just because I don't have a lot of nuanced things to say about that track. But yeah, okay, yeah, you used the snare from my first sample pack. I forgot about that. The snare is from my first sample pack. What?
Yeah, ball hard like Reddy Moss. Bedtime, all know that I'm that nigga. Showed y'all how to floss with sauce.
Did I have a rim shot like that? I love the snare. Didn't even think about it. It blends in and it's cool. And I'm not hating on this track. It's just in this subgenre that's kind of far away from what I do. It's a sample pack from 2005. What? My first sample pack? The audio one? That's not from 2005. What are you talking about? No, far from it. How do we submit? You can submit beats to the show using the email beatreview@accuratebeats.com. But I'm trying to keep this stream 2 hours long, and we started like 8:15, so about 10:15 I think I'm gonna shut down. So feel free to submit a beat, but you're probably not going to be played because we already have a lot of stuff to go through. But I'm picking them by random, so who knows. Here's another one from someone called Easy J. Coast Highway, 98 BPM. Okay. Easy J. Easy J has a submission right here. So let's see if anything crazy happens. If not, gotta cut it. Well, so there's a lot to be said about this production. Great work, first of all. This is solid stuff. Nice and crispy, also a little bit funky, a little bit dancey. Yeah, this is cool. Different from most of the things we have on the show. But this is cool. It feels like, just because of the cowbell and the hand clap, it feels 80s in a way, but also like, exotic house kind of genre, but still not, Normally I would have said something about the bass line being repetitive, but in this genre and with this kind of groove, to me, it's the opposite. It kind of makes sense to have a repetitive bass line like that, just moving along, just taking everything to the next step, just pushing it forward. And then you have a little bit of variation here and there, some soft sounds, some more harsh sounds, and a nice balance between things. When you actually produce music like this, it's easier to nail all those things than when you're working with samples and chops and stuff. But having that amount of contrast and having that type of dynamic between whenever you use like a sawtooth or a square wavy kind of synth, and when you go soft, like a pulse wave kind of oscillator, just going buttery smooth. So having both of that together with this gnarly bass line and the really funky upbeat drums, it's a vibe. Again, it makes me think about Isaac Hayes or any of those guys. I had an old Dr. Rhythm section that had that kit. Yeah, for sure. I mean, is it the 909 cowbell? I think it is. I'm not sure. And a lot of good like thump in that kick drum too. And in this case, that's what makes it feel more modern. If we had this really like paper-like kick drum, it would be like, yeah, obviously 80s. But the kick drum is heavily processed and saturated and whatever, and that makes it feel like more modern and fresh. And that it's nice. I mean, we talk about musicality as well as production and mixing and whatever. And to me, this type of contrast between a really gnarly bass line that just moves on, really crispy drums, and then these like evolving, lush, kind of just free-flowing sounds on top of it, becomes just nice to listen to. And the vocals too. And those little details also makes it feel like, yeah, this one works as an instrumental. Or it could work with, Justin Timberlake doing his thing on it. Anything like that would work. Or maybe some really old school rapper like Slick Rick or something. Bing, ding, ding. Yeah. Different type of melodies that works together like that, like a counter melody on top of something else, makes the entire like listening experience interesting. I think it's an 808 kit. I think it's an 808 kit, but the kick is something else. Yeah, obviously the kick is something else. Is it 808 or 909? Who uses the hand clap? I don't even know. I'm getting hold on vibes. Easy listening. Yeah, easy listening is not bad, you know. Cowbell is God made. Yeah, definitely an 808 or a 909 kit. Yeah. And, you know, going with the classics like that is not a bad thing, necessarily. But this genre is a little bit different. And air candy helps always. If you don't know what to do, add a little bit of or it always helps. You know. 909 with a low pass filter. Could be. Master Ace? What are you talking about? This doesn't sound like Master Ace. Cool Keith. Okay. I don't know. Let's keep on. Let's go for another track. Refreshing the inbox. And here we have something from Carbon Vibes. Has been played a lot, but you know, I'm picking by random as much as possible. Now it landed on Carbon Vibes. Thanks for everything you do. Carbon. So, Carbon Vibes Just Chill. 93 to 135 BPM. What's that? What does that even mean? Carbon Vibes, one of the members on the channel. So please become a member if you want to. Because. Or just don't. Carbon Vibes was or is a member, and that's cool. Has submitted a lot of beats over the years and has been featured a lot. Today, let's give Carbon Vibes a little bit more attention.
Humble yourself on every level.
Give Carbon Vibes a little bit more attention, and then it starts with
Humble yourself on every level. I said it.
Carbone.
Yeah, I just fucked up.
Humble yourself on every level. I said it.
Carbone.
So I completely lost track. Let's go back.
Humble.
Yeah. Someone said smooth transition. Someone said not a smooth transition. No, that transition was crazy. It just ends. So to me, this is two different beats, basically. I do notice that it's the same snare sound or whatever's done in the same project file, I guess. The second one was my favorite by far, by a long shot. This is way better than the first one. Love the snare sound, love the programming of pretty much everything. The hi-hat is too loud, but you know me. That one's like straight up, it's cool and nice, but there's something that doesn't work with the mix to me. It feels thin, even though there's a lot of bass and, you know, maybe too much separation between one and the other thing. But over here, slow down. Yeah. The kick drum is really saturated and processed. I would have loved to hear a little bit of sidechain compression here, I think. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you manage to squeeze a lot of stuff in there, as you always do. It's a beat combo. Never heard of a beat combo. Feels like you're cheating the system. And the different layers here, like the bass going dum 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 together with the, yeah, this is good stuff. You're gonna get the dude from the last stream all right up. Oh, okay, yeah, the one who felt like everything was unfair. Oh, you know what? This is one of those tracks. I play my headphones pretty loud when I do these live streams. So if I turn it down, yeah. Some beats are kind of sensitive to the playback volume and others aren't. I guess it has to do with frequency ranges and hearing and whatever. But when I turn down the volume, it becomes more subtle and nicer to listen to. So the beat becomes worse at a louder volume. That's difficult to kind of wrap my head around. But yeah, listening to this second beat on a lower volume, pretty much just makes everything blend together better. Because that's I know Carbon Vibes is talented and he knows what he's doing, so I'm gonna be honest about stuff. At a loud volume, to me it feels like there's space that kind of doesn't make sense in a way. It doesn't feel empty. I do notice that you've done a lot of things, but there's something with the mixing that makes it feel hollow a little bit. At a lower volume, that just disappears. But on a loud volume, it's something about the mixing that, yeah, maybe the snare is a little bit too crispy for the other stuff and whatever. I don't know. At a lower volume, better. A great beat in general. A lot of different samples put together in something that's really cool. And Carbon Vibes also has this kind of workflow of using a lot of samples, putting a lot of things in there. And, you know, I salute you for that. That's awesome to be able to squeeze so many things into it. And I'm noticing what you did and what you thought about in terms of the rhythm of things. Using samples like this, having them changing or ending on time is such a huge thing, and you do it really well. Carbon Vibes, hands down, a great track. The second one is by far my favorite. The piano in the first one is interesting, but the overall listening experience is way better on the second one, to me. So, yeah, now it's 10:15 and it's pretty much time to go. So we're going to do 2 more tracks going overtime. Adding, I don't know who cares about this. No one, but I do. Let's change up the vibe. Okay, that's a little bit crazy. Blue. Which means that we're going to play 2 more beats, 2 more tracks, provide feedback, talk about it, analyze everything, whatever. Dark mode or after hours or whatever you want to call it. Carbon Vibes shows up with a super chat for $2, and we do appreciate that. Boom. 2 more beats. So let's do the one from this one. Voyager Square Beats. Yeah, that's what it is. Let's download the file, which is obviously a huge virus. Of course not. People are better than that. Voyage Square Beat 92. Let's go! Man. Well, we can't just play that forever, even if we want to. Damn. Someone thought about a band when they made this piece of music for sure. So we have the entire rhythm section working their ass off, the drums and the bass line. Then we have this electric guitar. Everything just melts together in this whole like positive spring, someone said springy, summery kind of vibe. Really good stuff. This is the second to last beat, and this could very well be the last one and just be a nice way to end the show. Thanks everyone. Gonna see you guys in 2 weeks again. Time to say goodbye, and you know, one of those tracks for sure. Great stuff. Okay. Woo. I thought that was something else. That was 13 seconds of the first track with a lot of white noise and crackly stuff. Ugh. Throw me off guard. At the beginning of this one, I was sure that it would continue like that. Someone just put a high-pass filter on their entire track and just exported it by mistake. Is it going to be like this for 2 minutes? In that case, crazy. And then, you know, the bass line going ba-dum dum 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 dum. In this case too, like a walking bass line with a lot of great stuff. The drums sound like a drum break. I'm sure it's not, but it sounds like it. You know, it works as an instrumental just because I am, I'm kind of leaning that way. But this could also be like a rapper, of course, but also, forgetting names, but like a female R&B singer kind of doing her thing on it. Adding a little bit of jazzy feeling on the vocals, doing some slides and whatever. Would also work really, really well. And then we have the organ, all sorts of different keyboards playing together with the drums and the bass and the guitar. It's a full-on band, just playing things that works. This is good stuff. Huge fan of this. Sometimes or often I have a little bit of an issue when, you know, things are in major instead of minor. It's just a personal thing. But in this case, this kind of positive, uplifting attitude works. It doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel overly saturated. It doesn't feel played out. It doesn't, you know, it feels grounded and awesome. Martin Goblin says, old school Fresh Prince. Yeah, the drums and the bass line, maybe. But not as corny as Fresh Prince. Organ. Is this someone who's playing the actual instruments in the track and like that? Or is it pulled from samples, sample libraries? Who knows? And who cares? This is good. Positive, uplifting vibes. Happy. But not in a bubblegum kind of way. Great stuff. I don't have a lot of bad stuff to say about it. It's great. And I'm glad we have those like overly produced drums on top of it. Because if you took like, you know, a preset drum kit from Excellent Audio or Addictive, whatever they're called, it would still be kind of cool and more of a funk soul track. But with these types of drums on it, it feels like a hip-hop kind of beat with all those kind of flavors on top of it. But, okay, we can't do that. My bad. So, but of course, the bass line is like the centerpiece. Not in that section, of course, but Okay, we're getting all sorts of Rockwell super chat, $5. I'll throw a couple of bucks in the collection plate. Thanks for hosting, my man. My life is better for it. Haha, appreciate that. Then we have the Beatcast with a $2 super chat. Great beats and times. Much love from the Beat Hawks. Thank you, Al. Thanks a lot. Summer vibes. Great feel on this one. The drums hit nice. Yeah, I'm totally with you. That's a great freaking track. Solid production, solid mixing, solid arrangement, everything. So let me jump back into the inbox for the last time for this stream. Let's go back just to make sure we have an even spread. So that's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah. About 23 beats left to play, which is unfortunate. We're not going to be able to play all of them because I can't do this for the entire, I want to keep this somewhat consistent. 2 hours, 2.5, something like that. So we're going to play one more track, and we have 23 to choose from. 22, 24, something like that. So I don't even know where to go. That one came in on July 31st, which is not during the open hours for this submission stuff that's going on. Let's change the camera to that one. So $13. Not okay. You're saying numbers. I asked you to do that before. Okay. Made So Well says number 13. So let's do number 13 from the bottom. Okay. That's a better question. Number 13 from the bottom or from the top? The first one. The first one. From the bottom or from the top? Not that it really matters because you don't know, but number 13, but counting from the bottom or from the top? Tell me. Top, bottom. Number 2. Martin says from the top. Okay. Number 13 from the top. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, I gotta count the ones that hasn't been played to make it okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that one's been played. That one too. I've failed to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, you've been played 11 and 12. So that's the one from Corey Quillis. Corey Quillis is the last submission for today, and we're gonna read the email first of all. Greetings, Accurate. Corey Quills here. Humbly submitting after quite a while. I've caught each beat review since last year and sit silently enjoying. I thought to send you something simple, just to say hi. It makes me feel good. Hopefully someone will enjoy as well. Keep banging, Accurate. Okay. So that's actually nice. That's a nice way to end the stream, and I had no idea. But it's cool. This one came from Corey Thompson, who has been watching he's been watching the beat review since last year and just hasn't submitted. Thought to send something simple just to say hi. That's a nice way to think about it. Send one of your pieces of art that you've spent time to make just to say hi. That's awesome. Awesome. So number 13 from the middle? What does that even mean? Man, it's been a year. I don't even know. The first Beat Review live stream on YouTube? That might have been a while ago, you know? But he has been watching since last year, which is, you know, it's June, July. It's August. Jesus. So since last year, you know, we did one in December for sure. Time to play this fellow's music, right? VLC, Corey Quills. Yeah. Let's have a listen. Well, you know what it is? Honestly, we are a little bit too stuck in most of us, a lot of us, all of us, most of us, some of us. Some of us are locked into, you know, this is soon gonna drop. It's soon gonna become boom, boom, pff, da, boom, 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 pff. But that's not always what happens. This track, I mean, we call the show Beat Review, and I say that anything is welcome. You can submit a rock track or whatever, and I stand by that because it's more fun like that. But in terms of beat production and stuff like that, a lot of us are thinking, expecting a specific thing to happen in a track. Someone said, Beat Owl was like, yeah, it's gonna drop. It has to drop. I'm waiting for the drop. It's coming. And it didn't come. Which is one thing. But in terms of what we heard, I mean, the drum programming for something like this is a little bit different from what I normally do because I'm really stuck in the boom bappy kind of hip hop thing. But this is also a drum groove. A lot of hi-hats and then just boom, you know. It's just not what we expected. The sounds, the notes, the melodies, the ideas in here, great stuff. Hands down. If we don't try to expect a beat coming out of this, just consuming it for what it is, really interesting in a sound design, from a sound design perspective. The notes, I mean, some of the notes are really close to each other. That makes it feel like there's a lot of tension. Nothing is like out of pitch or false or anything, but some of the notes also has really long sustain and they blend together and becomes something different than just a straight up melody going dum 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 da dum 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 dum. You know, it's not that. So let's enjoy it for what it is instead. It's interesting, experimental, and cool. And there's so many different layers of things going on that it's just, I mean, in lack for a better word, it's beautiful. To me, this is beautiful. It's nice and cozy. Someone said something about like a video game. Sure, if this was like, imagine like a 2D scroller kind of game, you know, jumping with a character going whatever. Think Celeste or something like that. And the tension also brings darkness to it. The amount of vibes and emotion here is crazy. It's impressive and it's really cool. It's not a beat the way we think about beats, but that doesn't make it bad, you know? Layers of confusion? Well, I don't know. Made So Well says, it's a nice start, it's a good idea, it demands to be dropped. Non-beat review. Yeah, don't be like that. I mean, it's not a beat the way we think about beats, but it's still a valuable, cool, beautiful piece of music. It's easy for me to say that I want more bass, you know, but heavy bass is not the vibe of this one. Beautiful stuff. Really cool. And I love and enjoy having stuff that's not just, you know, following the textbook of beats. Anyone's welcome. Music producers of any sort. And this is definitely a music producer who knows what he's doing. It's not what we used to, and that's awesome. So Corey Quills sent this one in just to say hi. So hi, right back to you. Would love to hear more of your stuff in the future. Feel free to submit because it's going to be interesting, I'm sure. Artistic, beautiful stuff like that definitely has its place in this stream. Let's do one last one. Give me another number to pick. Beat number, what? Counting from the top and the bottom is also a thing I need to know. Goblin 7. Okay, 7. Or that one where my email is. No. Okay, 2 people said 7. And again. Okay, from the bottom. From the bottom. Let's count email number 7 from the bottom. So we're gonna start counting from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's been played. Oh, I did it the wrong way around again. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's gonna be that one. Okay, cool. This one came from Oliver, so not from Martin Goblet. This one is from Oliver. Please excuse the file name. Beats less than 2 minutes enough to get an idea. Much love from New Zealand. From Oliver. Cool. Let's open it up. Let's download. Okay, now, Jesus. Downloaded, imported into VLC, and it's not supposed to start just yet. I need to be ready for it. So I'm gonna be this harsh. Whatever you say in the chat room, I'm not gonna play Kane TV. I'm not gonna play Martin. No. We're doing this way, and this is the last track for today, for sure. The last one by Oliver. Sorry. That's a cool track to end off on. I mean, that kind of drum groove, first of all, we don't hear that enough. I think we should. Going like boom, 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 boom. It's effective. It's cool. Sometimes it just doesn't have to be more elaborate than that. But, it's a nice track. It's cool and relaxing. But honestly, and I know I'm noticing that I'm getting more critical later on in the show. So if you're the last beat to be played, I'm gonna, that's a one thing. Sometimes we talk about music having a little bit of personality, vibes, emotion. We talk about moods. We talk about different ways a beat could be used in a movie, in a video game, for a rapper, whatever. This one, my problem with this one is that it feels like it doesn't have a lot of personality. Maybe because there's not like an obvious melody. That's nice though. And to me, I mean, I don't want to be mean or judgmental, but this track feels like someone said easy listening before, and this is easy listening too, but it's a little bit dark, has a little bit of tension, whatever, but it's also a track I'm gonna have a hard time remembering after the fact. If you ask me like tomorrow, the last beat for the last beat for last night, what was that all about? Not that I can answer that anyways, but it doesn't make a huge imprint. if that's the word. The groove, the drums, I mean, Hafa said it's släppigt in Swedish, which means, what does that even mean? It has a cool kind of drag to it, and it does. The drums are really cool, but the other stuff that's happening on top of it is, it's not a lot. If you wanted to use this one, someone said like dark ninja, samurai vibes, maybe. If you wanted like a rapper on top of this that tells a story with a really like a lot of personality in the voice and someone that's like really cool like that, this could really, really work. And beats like this definitely has a time and a place. But listening to it as an instrumental piece of work, it feels like we need something more. That guitar thing is like the closest thing we have to an actual melody here. Ba-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, you know. Maybe I'm just Swedish and Scandinavian like that I like things to have kind of a melodic feel. I want things to have a melody, or if it's chopped up sample, I still want things to create kind of a melody. And that's what I feel is lacking on this one. The drums, the programming of the drums, super vibey, super cool. All the drum sounds are nice and nothing is bad about it. I just want a little bit more personality, a little bit more something to remember this one by. Maybe it's actually, maybe it's a case of a lot of the information here being in kind of a similar type of frequency spectrum. Nothing really stands out the way the hi-hat does here. The open hi-hat is like, has a lot of high frequencies, but a lot of the sounds in the track, they don't really stand out in terms from a mixing perspective either. It's not, I don't want to say that it's muddy, but it's kind of dull. It lacks sharpness, or, you know, harshness is going overboard, but sometimes we need something clean and crispy to just cut through. Maybe the whole guitar, but could be that, just pitched up an octave in 2 layers, one louder, one less loud, you know. But yeah, the lack of contrast. Thank you, Benji. The lack of contrast becomes its background music, you know. So Carbon Vibes just called me a grumpy old man. That's not true. Carbon said something else. When Accurate gets tired, he gets a bit more critical. I think that's normal. It happens with age. Happens to me too. Well, I don't know. It's just, you know, first of all, that was the last beat for today. This beat review stream is officially over. Peace out. Now I wanna add some things here. Doing these beat review live streams is so beneficial to me and my creativity. It's not just me hanging out with a lot of good people listening to a lot of good music. It also opens up my mind in a way that's so helpful. I don't listen a lot to music. I listen a lot to podcasts about video games and music production and everything. I don't listen a lot to music on the daily because I tend to be like too inspired and like, you know, it doesn't work. So listening to music in this more critical way, breaking things down, talking about them together with you guys, helps me a ton. Gives me perspective on things in a way that is beneficial to me and my to me and my creativity, the way I make music myself, even the way I make videos about other stuff that's just adjacent to music. So I'm not just doing this for you guys. I'm doing this a lot for myself. Just having a 2.5 hour session of just listening to other people's music. And not listening to stuff from Timbaland and just Blaze and whatever. Listening to music from people kind of like myself. Sometimes less experienced, sometimes more experienced. It opens up my mind and my perspective for making music in a way that's really beneficial and cool. So at the end of a stream like this, I start becoming more critical, and that's because I'm starting to look for errors. I'm trying to look for flaws and things to add and things to take out and whatever needs to be tweaked for me to actually love the track. So that's pretty much the same process I go through when I work on something. You've seen me doing like live stream and beat making sessions, and the more I keep working on something, the better it becomes, usually. And that's because I'm getting more critical of what I'm hearing, because I'm finding nuances that I couldn't find before. The more you listen to something, the more you focus, the more nailed in you become. Nailed in. That's not even, I think you know what I'm saying. So I think it's cool. Sometimes it hurts you guys because the last few ones in the stream I'm more critical of than the first ones. Whatever. It's not that serious. We do this as a thing together. And even though I do kind of a terrible job sometimes of following the chat because there's a lot of stuff going on, I read more than I read out loudly. And having you guys being a part of it makes a lot of sense and makes the entire thing way more fun and way cooler than without you guys. So that's pretty much what it is. And also, I'm old and grumpy. For sure. And I'm just now noticing that I'm wearing the Native Instruments t-shirt. Damn. Someone asked me about Machine earlier. Yeah, I kind of don't use Machine anymore, to be perfectly honest. Still love it, still appreciate it. But right now, you can see Machine over there. That's Machine. Not even connected, just sitting there. And I rearranged the studio today, moved things around, so it's not that it's been sitting for a long time, but I don't use it a lot. No. Like I said earlier, absorbing it like a sponge. Sure. So yeah, this is hugely beneficial for me in my process of making beats myself, for sure. It's also kind of a social thing with you guys. I appreciate it a lot. And please, always take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm not a better producer than most of you. It's just, I have a perspective on things and I like to share it. You guys are sharing your perspective in the chat, and it's cool for everyone. I love doing these streams, and I'm going to keep doing it every other week. That's the plan. On YouTube. Fuck Twitch and all that stuff. This is what we do. So, yeah. I might actually go back to do some kind of beat making live stream someday too, but that's not going to be on schedule. Just going to happen whenever it happens. And more videos are coming on the channel, like produced, edited videos, that kind of shenanigans. But for now, today, this episode of Beat Review is officially over, and it's time for me to sign out and say goodnight, go to bed, wake up tomorrow, being off work, doing something else in here. I actually noticed some mistakes I made in the setup with a patch bay, so that's going to be sorted out. I rearranged some stuff, and over here right now I have one output. I don't have enough outputs, basically. So, again, I'm just talking. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you a lot. Thanks for the super chats tonight. Thanks for the submissions. And remember, the system now is every other Monday we do this the same time. And the window for submitting beats on the email address is 24 hours before the stream. If you send anything before that, you're just not going to be part of the list of beats I go through. That's just what it is. And everything is not going to be played, so submit for the next episode too, if you wasn't played. With the same beat or another beat or whatever, I'm not going to go back and create this whole catalog of things. I want things to be as live as possible, but it feels fair to give you guys 24 hours to send in your beats. So if you want to send in a beat right now, it's not even going to be considered, you know? So that's the concept, that's the system. And that's all for tonight. Thanks a lot for checking in. Thanks a lot for hanging out. And peace.